Good morning, everyone. We want to welcome you to Reading 365. I'm Floyd Stokes, and we are joined this morning with Una Martone. She is the executive director of LHA, Leadership Harrisburg area, and just a fantastic person. She's a member of Rotary, and she holds a huge leadership position in Rotary, and she'll probably tell you what it is. I forgot to ask her before we were offline, but it's very involved with Rotary, and we're so glad to have her. When we launched the 100 Women Reading, and every time I say that, I cringe because it's so misleading. It's so misleading. Uh, Una was one of the spark plugs that helped to get that process off the ground. And we're so glad that she's heavily involved in the community with so many wonderful initiatives. And Una, we thank you for being here to share a book with us. And why don't you share with us what you have this morning?
Sure. Thank you so much, Floyd. I'm happy to be here. The book that I have is called Fry Bread, and it says on here it's a Native American family story. It's written by a man named Kevin Noble Maillard, and it's illustrated by a woman named Juana Martinez Neal. And the reason that I chose this book and I'm so interested in the Native American history is because the street that I live on is called Osage Way. And Osage was a Native American tribe. And so I became interested in that. And my daughter brought home this book about fry bread. And I learned through this book some things that I want to tell you even before I read it. I learned that there are almost 600 Native American tribes still active in the United States today. And there are also 600 Native tribes in Canada, and they would be called Indigenous people. Indigenous is a really big word, but it's an important word to learn. It means the original occupants of a place naturally occurring in that place. So that's what we mean when we talk about Native Americans. They were indigenous to America. This book is about a Native American tradition of food. Fry bread is a Native American food. And so when you're hearing the story and you're learning about fry bread, you might get hungry, but also think about, do you have any traditions in your culture that have to do with food? Because so many cultures have food as a core, as a central component that brings people together. And especially in this story, fry bread brings Native Americans together to share a common heritage. So I also learned that fry bread was first made 150 years ago by the Navajo tribe. So I just wanted to share a little bit about the history before reading the story. So now let's get started. Fry bread, a Native American family story. Fry bread is food. Flour, salt, water, cornmeal, baking powder, perhaps milk, and maybe sugar, all mixed together in a big bowl. You have to have a really big bowl. Fry bread is shape. Hands mold the dough, flat like a pancake, round like a ball, or puffy like Nana's softest pillow. Fry bread is sound. The skillet clangs on the stove, the fire blazes from below. Drop the dough in the skillet, the bubbles sizzle and pop. Fry bread is color. Golden brown, tan, or yellow. Deep like coffee, sienna, or earth. Light like snow or cream. Warm like rays of sun. Fry bread is flavor, yum. See beans or soup, smell tacos, cheese, and vegetables, delight in honey and jam. Rise to discover what brings us together. Look at all that fry bread. You can put all those different delicious toppings on it. Fry bread is time. On weekdays and holidays, supper or dinner, powwows and festivals, moments together with family and friends. Food is always a great way to bring family and friends together and celebrate traditions. Fry bread is art, sculpture, landscape, portrait, our daily craft shared from teacher to student, a cycle of heritage and fortune. Fry bread is history, the long walk, the stolen land, strangers in our world. With unknown food, we made new recipes from what we had. Fry bread is place. Alaska, Kansas, all the way to Maine, down to Delaware, on to Georgia, over to Oklahoma, Colorado, and California. Cities and lands we call home. Fry bread is nation. Abenaki, Apache, Arifo, Alijawa, Onondaga, Ogladesh Sioux, Narragansett, Navajo, Nipmuc, Seminole, Shoshone, Sac and Fox, hundreds and hundreds of tribes. Fry bread is everything: round, flat, large, small, north, south, east, west, brown, yellow, black, white, familiar and foreign, old and new, we come together. Fry bread is us. We are still here, elder and young, friend and neighbor. And by us, they mean the Native Americans. We strengthen each other to learn, change, and survive. Fry bread is you. And that's the end of the story. And the author put a recipe for fry bread right in the story. And I think I'm going to try to make fry bread at home so that I can get a taste of the Native American culture and something that I've never eaten before. I hope you like the story of fry bread.
Thank you, Una. That was very touching, very moving, and just a wonderful story. And it brought a smile to my face when you were reading. And just as you said, food is a great way to bring people together, and it's a part of their heritage. And to capture that, the importance of fry bread and them coming together and enjoying, such a wonderful piece of, food and heritage. It's just fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you. And I also saw something on the Food Network that had fry bread at a very famous restaurant. I think it was in Colorado. And I saw that and said, "Oh, that's the same as the book I'm going to
Wow.
read." And it's just to show that, how Native Americans have adapted and
Yes.
how even still today, their traditions and their culture is very, very strong, and especially as it comes to food.
Yes. And I think, you reminded us that Native Americans, they populated this whole country, of North America and beyond. So they were from California to Maine, from Florida to, North Dakota and
Right.
everything in between, right?
That's right. And I really wanted to also point out some of the students are familiar with the river that runs through our
Mm,
area, the
yes,
Susquehanna River.
yes.
And the Susquehanna River was actually named by a Native American tribe called the Susquehannock. And they called the Susquehannock tribe people of the muddy river, and that's how the
Mm,
Susquehanna River got its name as well. So all of us, every single day, we're crossing over a river or we're walking to a river that was shared by the native people of this area right here in central Pennsylvania.
yeah, yeah. There's so much rich history there. Even me being from Mississippi, my hometown is called Mound Bayou, and so there's an Indian mound. Two Indian mounds were there where a bayou ran through it,
Okay.
and they were Indian mounds, Native American
Yeah,
mounds that
yeah.
were used for ceremonial purposes. And so the town, is named in honor of the Native Americans that were there before we even got there. So
Nice.
yeah, yeah, no,
Very
that's
nice.
fantastic. And so that history is very important, so important.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if you heard in the beginning, I was so surprised that there are almost 600 Native American tribes that
Yes,
are in existence today. And I did not realize that there were so many. And some of them are very, very small and not very well known, and
right.
others are large. And so their lands are, oftentimes protected so that they can keep their traditions and their culture alive.
It is so important. It is so important. Yeah. So Una, why don't you tell us a little bit about some of the community service projects or organization that you're a part of? Before you do that, I'm going to take a sip from my cup here.
What a lovely design on that coffee mug, Floyd.
Thank you. Funny you should ask. this cup was actually designed by McCaffrey Martone. Have you heard of the artist? Have you heard of
Oh, I have.
her? No, it's your daughter, of course, and she's done some work for my organization, the African American Memorial Fund. We want to just give a shout out to McCaffrey and the wonderful person she is and the wonderful work she's done, and is doing. So thank you, McCaffrey, and thank you, Una, for making that connection.
That's that's so nice to get the shout out. But there are so many things going on in this area, and there are a lot of needs from making sure that people have food on their table, no matter what
Yes,
kind of food it is,
yes,
to making sure that children have books to read, like what you're doing. So, in some of the community service that I get involved with, it's based on what the needs are. And especially during the pandemic, when a lot of people became unemployed and lost their jobs, getting food on the table was really top priority. And so I was happy to help out with the Central Pennsylvania Food Bank. And
yes.
my good friend Lee Casher has a company called Save the Bananas.
Yeah, shout
And
out to Lee. She's
shout out to Lee
fantastic.
Casher, just
Yeah.
trying to get food on the table for people. And one of the other things that was really important to me, it just happened this weekend. It was a fundraiser to help eradicate polio. And a lot of people, even our age, Floyd, don't understand that polio is a disease that still exists in the world. And it's a crippling disease that takes
Yes.
away children's ability to walk. And
Yes.
so it can be there's a vaccine for it. So if children around the world are administered 2 simple drops of a vaccine, they can be protected from contracting polio. And so yesterday we did a fundraiser, Saturday, to help raise money to get those polio drops to children around the world through Rotary International. And
Fantastic.
the money that we raised at our fundraiser was tripled by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, because they are also trying to
Beautiful.
help eradicate polio. We don't want to see any children lose the ability to walk, lose the ability to run and play, when just a few simple drops can protect them. So that's
Yeah.
another cause that's really important to me.
Wonderful. And it's so important. It's like you say, it's two simple drops and it's effective. And, so thank you for continuing to work on that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fantastic. Well, thank you, Una. We appreciate you greatly joining us today with Reading 365. Fantastic book. And can you please do a screenshot of that recipe and send it
Oh
to me?
yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm I'm going to add that to my offerings on Native American Heritage Day, which most people know it as Thanksgiving Day, right?
Okay.
I'm gonna add that to my list of foods. So make sure that
Yeah.
I'll take a picture and send it to you. I don't know if I post. I don't post food much, but
I'll post that. I'll send you that recipe, and I think it's a great idea.
thank you. Thank you. Well, have a great day, everyone. Join us tomorrow and the rest of the year until September 30th, 2021 for Reading 365 at 11 o'clock every single day. Thank you. Have a great day. See ya.